A cold storm clawed through the night when Michael Harrington, one of New York's youngest and most intimidating CEOs, opened his front door and froze. There on the wet stone porch sat a wicker basket, trembling slightly in the wind, a tiny pink blanket tucked around a sleeping baby whose golden curls glowed under the porch light. Raindrops glittered on the edges of the note pinned to the blanket, its ink smudged by water and desperation. "You promised to protect us. Don't break it." And just beyond the shadows, a young woman clung to a pillar, trembling, watching him with eyes full of a fear he didn't yet understand. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and the power of stories that change hearts, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these emotional stories alive. Michael stood motionless, his breath catching in his chest as memories he had buried years ago surfaced with brutal force. The baby's small, peaceful face tugged at something deep inside him, something he wasn't prepared to face tonight. Rain soaked through his suit jacket, but he barely felt it. All he felt was the weight of the note. The weight of a promise he never knew he had made, or perhaps one he once whispered and then tried to forget. Inside the basket lay a little girl, no older than 1. Her tiny fingers clutched the edge of the blanket as if it were her entire world. And somewhere behind him, past the closed doors of his silent mansion, echoed the emptiness of a man who had everything money could buy, except the one thing this moment demanded: understanding. Michael lifted the baby carefully, almost afraid she might break. She stirred but didn't cry. She simply nestled into his arms as if she belonged there. And as he cradled her, the young woman stepped back further into the shadows, her thin dress soaked through, her lips trembling as though she wanted to run, but her heart refused to move. The next morning began a chapter of his life he never expected. Michael Harrington, the man known for ruthlessness, precision, and a heart locked behind steel, found himself pacing the marble floors of his home with a baby balanced on his hip. Her name, according to a hospital bracelet tucked inside the basket, was Lily Grace Dawson. The last name nearly stopped his heart. Dawson. Emily Dawson. A name he hadn't spoken aloud in 4 years. Emily, the quiet and bright college student who had tutored him during the hardest semester of his MBA program. Emily, who worked 2 jobs and still made time to help him through nights when numbers blurred and exhaustion pushed him to his breaking point. Emily, whose laugh had softened him, whose gentle heart had steadied him, whose presence had once felt like sunlight after years of storms. Emily, who had disappeared suddenly, without a word, leaving behind a void he never dared examine. Could this child be? He tried to dismiss the thought. But it grew like a wildfire. Lily's eyes were a soft blue, just like Emily's. And when she finally giggled at him that morning, her tiny hand gripping his tie, the sound shattered him. He hadn't held a child since his younger sister had passed away. And now here he was, with a baby who looked at him like he was her whole world. But where was Emily? And why had she written that note? When Michael returned home the following night, exhausted from rearranging his entire corporate schedule to care for a baby he still didn't fully understand, he froze at the sight of something on his security camera footage. Emily. She had come back to the porch. Only for a moment. Only far enough to check that Lily was still safe. Then she vanished into the storm again. The sight of her, thin, scared, fragile, ignited a storm inside him. He needed to find her. But the next few days became a battle between running his multi-million-dollar corporation and learning how to keep a toddler alive. The CEO who once commanded boardrooms with ease now struggled with assembling a crib, preparing bottles, and deciphering the difference between a hungry cry and a tired cry. Yet with every passing day, Lily nestled deeper into his heart. He found himself waking early to watch her sleep, brushing her tiny curls out of her eyes, feeling a strange warmth he hadn't felt in years. She followed him with her gaze everywhere. She held onto his sleeve during conference calls. She babbled at his suits. She fell asleep on his chest during late nights at his office. It wasn't long before he realized something terrifying. He was falling in love with her. Not the convenient kind of love. Not the logical kind. But the kind that made his chest tighten and his heart soften. The kind that terrified a man who had sworn never to love anything again after losing his family too young. But just as his attachment deepened, so did his worries. Who would abandon a child like this unless she was running from something dangerous? And why had Emily, sweet, selfless Emily, written words filled with fear? One evening, after Lily had finally fallen asleep after a long day of teething, Michael stepped outside to the porch where it all began. Rain drizzled lightly, the same way it had that night. He scanned the street, hoping, foolishly, that Emily would appear again. And then she did. Thin. Pale. Wearing the same fragile dress. Her eyes swollen from crying. She looked like someone who had been hiding for far too long. She didn't run this time. She stepped closer, her arms crossed as if holding herself together. Michael didn't speak. He couldn't. He was afraid she might vanish if he breathed too loudly. Emily's lips trembled as she whispered something he couldn't fully hear. But she looked toward the door. Toward Lily. Toward the place she had left her heart. As she walked away again, disappearing around the corner of the street, Michael made a decision that would change everything. He followed. He kept a careful distance, not wanting to frighten her, but determined to understand what had broken her spirit so deeply that she had left her child, their child, on his doorstep. Emily entered a rundown motel on the outskirts of the city, her shoulders hunched, her steps unsteady. The sight of her living there, a place filled with danger, drugs, and desperation, made Michael's chest tighten painfully. He waited until morning, then approached. Emily flinched when she opened the door, expecting someone else, someone she feared. Her eyes widened when she saw Michael standing there, holding Lily in his arms. She crumbled instantly, knees buckling, tears falling in helpless waves. And the truth finally came out. Emily had fallen into the hands of a man who charmed her, controlled her, and eventually trapped her. A man who became violent when she tried to leave. A man who threatened Lily's life unless Emily obeyed. And when she heard rumors he was looking for her again, she made the only choice she believed could keep Lily safe. She brought her to the one person she trusted more than anyone she had ever known. Michael Harrington. The man who once promised her that if life ever became too heavy, he would help her carry it. She didn't know where else to go. She didn't know if he still cared. She only knew she could not let her daughter grow up in fear. Michael stood there, overwhelmed by the truth. He wanted to hold Emily the way he held Lily. He wanted to promise her safety the way she had once promised him comfort during his darkest nights. He wanted to erase every wound life had carved into her spirit. He brought Emily and Lily back home. And for the first time in years, his mansion felt alive. Emily slept for almost 2 days, finally safe. Lily clung to her mother when she woke, and Michael watched them with a warmth he never knew his heart could hold. Slowly, Emily began to heal. She smiled again, small, fragile smiles that grew stronger each day. She learned to breathe without fear. She learned to rest. She learned that love did not always break people, it sometimes saved them. Together, they rebuilt their lives. Michael protected them fiercely, taking legal action, ensuring the man who harmed her would never touch them again. Emily began working again, helping Lily learn new words, filling their home with laughter, warmth, and gentle music. And Michael found himself building a family he never dreamed he would have. Yet the most beautiful change happened quietly, in moments small but powerful. Like Lily reaching for both of them during bedtime. Like Emily leaving a cup of tea on Michael's desk when he worked late. Like Michael teaching Lily how to walk while Emily watched with tears in her eyes. And soon, Michael realized something he never expected. He wasn't just protecting them. They were healing him too. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stories like these reach